Hello and welcome to the Agri-Learn podcast. I'm your host, Raina Nila, an emerging full-time commercial farmer as well as the brand ambassador for the Women and Youth Loan Scheme at the Agricultural Bank of Namibia. Today we're at the Hardap Inland Aquaculture Center right here in the Hardap region. And I'm joined by two beautiful ladies, Ms. More and Ms. Salushanda. I got that right? Okay. Thank you so much for joining us on the Agri-Learn podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
And welcome to the Hardap Inland Aquaculture Center.
Thank you so much. So today we're talking about aquaculture production, but before we get into it, just briefly explain to us what transpires here at the Inland Aquaculture Center.
Okay, the Hardap Inland Aquaculture Center is part of the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources and part of the Directorate of Aquaculture within the ministry. It's part of the different offices or centers and farms within the ministry, which are spread throughout the country. So we are basically the main center for the southern and central parts of our country in Namibia.
Okay.
What we basically do here, main focus is fish production and fingerling production. So we do the breeding and the whole production of freshwater fish, focusing mainly on the Mozambique tilapia. And then there's also other divisions. We also have an extension section which deals with farmers. They go out visiting farmers and rendering services, technical services, site assessments, and etc. And then we have another division which is now the inland fisheries section. They are focusing mainly on research. They do research on what do you call it, on natural water bodies, such as the Lower Orange River, the Hardap Dam, the Notre Dam, various other dams where there is water, water aggregated, and where there are fish species or where there are any aquatic organisms. So they focus mainly on that. But as it is for us, I do aquaculture.
Awesome. Thank you so much. A brief explanation right there. Let's talk about aquaculture, but in the Namibian context, right? What is aquaculture in the Namibian context, and what significant role does it play?
So aquaculture is the culture or is the practice of farming with aquatic organisms, such as fish, aquatic plants. In the Namibian context, we have freshwater aquaculture and mariculture.
Mariculture. Okay.
In freshwater aquaculture, on a smaller scale, we focus on producing freshwater species, and this contributes, the role that it plays is that it contributes to food security, source of income, informal employment creation, and also in poverty reduction. In terms of mariculture, on a commercial scale, along the coastal line of Namibia, they produce marine species such as oysters, mussels, abalone, and seaweed, and this contributes to the country's GDP. It contributes to food security, it contributes to employment creation as well. So the Ministry of Fisheries is the one that is responsible for promoting aquaculture, and they are, like she said, they are responsible for assisting all the potential fish farmers that want to venture into aquaculture. Okay.
Now, what purpose does aquaculture serve?
Global statistics report that capture fisheries are declining, and therefore, and at the same time, the demand for fish as a food source is increasing. So the role of aquaculture as one of the fastest growing food production sectors in the world, to alleviate the pressure that is on capture fisheries and to also meet the demand for fish consumption. So, which is why it's important and why the ministry is promoting for people to invest in aquaculture, so we can also join the world.
Awesome. Let's talk about fish production. Which region in Namibia produces the largest number of fish, and what kind of fish species are currently being cultivated in the country?
So in Namibian Ministry of Fisheries, we have 3 generalized regions. We have the northern region, the southern region, and the coastal region. In the northern region, they produce the largest numbers relatively of freshwater species, which they focus on tilapia and dali, three-spot tilapia, and the African catfish. In the southern region, relatively lower production compared to the north, but still good. We focus on Mozambique tilapia and the red hybrid tilapia. In the coastal regions, the commercial production is focused on oysters.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Now let's talk about our local farmers. What should they consider when they want to cultivate new fish species?
Okay, so in regards to the importation of new species, the process is subject to the guidelines provided for in the legal frameworks. For example, the Aquaculture Act, which requires the farmer to get an aquaculture license.
Yeah.
They need to register as an importer, they need to get an import permit, and they need to also follow the biosecurity measures when they are importing their fish. This is just some of the few guidelines.
Yeah.
But in terms of the local species that are available in Namibia, for commercial production, they need to acquire an aquaculture license as well. And then for the local farmers, they just want to do it on a smaller scale. All they need to do is just approach the Ministry of Fisheries offices in any region, so they can apply for a site assessment and then also apply to be seeded with fingerlings after the site assessment, just to make sure that the fish is going to be put somewhere that is the Ministry of Fisheries staff agree that it's proper for production.
Yeah. So let's talk about the requirements. What are some of the requirements that farmers need to meet when considering into venturing, let's say, into aquaculture production?
So like I said in the previous answer, they need to follow the legal framework.
Okay.
So after that, they need to also have capital, which is land. They need to have a piece of land. They need to have clean water. They need to have the infrastructure. They need to have the finances, and they need to have the management skills and the human capital to venture into aquaculture.
Okay.
In addition, they also need technical assistance from the Ministry of Fisheries, where they will help them. For example, if they are starting up, they assist them with a site assessment. They tell them they can assist them how to build up their ponds, testing their water and seeing whether it's necessary for production. They also need to know that they have a market for their fish when they are done producing.
Definitely. Now let's talk about the size of the piece of land. Is there a specific size, or can they just, start the production on a 1 hectare? 1.5, or is there a specific size for it?
So the thing about aquaculture or any kind of business, I think, is that you need to start small.
Yeah.
So it does not matter how much land you have. In a hectare, all you need to do is just set up your production system, your ponds, and for as long as you have clean water, you set up your ponds, you'll be ready to go.
Awesome.
You don't need a big piece of land. Because we are trying to do farming in a sustainable way, where you make efficient use of the natural resources that you have. So if it's a piece of land that is small, you just need to maximize how to use it. It doesn't really require a big piece of land for you to be successful.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, ladies, we just talked about the requirements that our farmers need to meet when considering venturing into aquaculture. Let's talk about the production chain of aquaculture.
It's quite a process. So I will start with the ponds. When you venture into aquaculture, it depends on the system you're going to venture into.
Okay.
Whether it's an open system, whether it's a closed system, whether it's a small tanks or whether it's big earthen ponds. But first of all, you would have your tanks or your ponds prepared, and then you would start to get your broodstock, which is now the parent stock, prepared and conditioned. And then depending on the stocking density of your pond, you would then stock the parent stock, which are the brood stock.
Okay.
You would then stock them at a ratio of 1 male to 3 females. But sometimes, like here for me, I play around. I play around two females to 1 male.
Okay.
Yeah, it just depends on the space and what you want to achieve. And then from there, after stocking, depending on whether you are doing artificial, which would be now the hatchery based, or you are doing the natural breeding, it will differ a bit. So I'll talk a bit about the artificial, which includes a hatchery. So with the artificial, you would then have your broodstock stocked, and then you would then check them after. It depends also on the environment where you are, the weather conditions where you are. People up north might take 7 days, but for us here, I've seen 4 days already.
Okay.
The eggs are already hatched, are not hatched, but they are about to hatch. So you want to get the eggs out of the mouth of the female before it hatches.
Okay.
So you would check the eggs then 4 days, and then you would take them out, take them to the hatchery, put them in the incubator, and then you would then monitor it there. It will then hatch there. After hatching, it gets collected, then it gets into the holding tanks where they will then grow up to fingerling size. Fingerling size, that's why we call them fingerling.
Oh, that's makes sense now.
Yes. Yeah, so they would then stay there until the time that you want to then stock them in the nursery ponds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then from the nursery ponds, then you would then take them to the grow out ponds. But in between, there's a lot of things to do. There's sampling to be done every month to determine monthly feed or daily feed. There's also sampling to be done to determine growth and also look at health and all that.
Yeah.
So that's basically the process when it comes to the artificial production.
Okay.
And the natural production, which is what we are basically doing from the monastery side, we would then leave them in that pond, the breeding pond, to hatch. We won't check them after 4 days. We would leave them to hatch. And also depending on what you want to achieve, the past few years we have been trying to produce all male, because all male grows faster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so with that you would then have to use a specific, sex reversal hormone in the food. So you would try to do that immediately when they hatch. So like after 4 days, 4 or 5 days, from the 5th day, you would then start to feed them with that treated feed. But for now, we are not doing that anymore. Currently, we are not doing that anymore. So you would then just leave the fish, the eggs would hatch, and then you would let it stay there because it's a bit sensitive and to handle the fries, collecting them out of the pond. So we leave them together with the parents currently to grow a bit and just become a bit of a fingerling. And then we would then remove the parents. So we remove the parents. Normally we would remove the parents first. We would then separate the males and the females, and then they would go and rest for the next cycle of breeding. And then you would leave your fries to grow a bit alone now in the pond until they are ready to be handled. Okay. So because you need to sample them, you need to know how many, count them, so for you to determine the production, the fingerling production of that specific cycle. So from there, then you would then transfer them to the nursery tunnel, which is now this tunnel. So here we would keep them until such a time that there is a pond open in the grow out tunnels where we would then grow them for harvest. Oh, wow. Yeah, so they would stay here, and then we would keep them here until from 20 gram upwards we can start stocking them. Yeah, but that is also dependent on the space. So so we would then stock them in the grow out, and in the grow out they would then grow there until harvest time. Okay. So we normally would, like I said, there's in between, there's monitoring, there's all these many other activities that need to be done to allow you to achieve that harvestable fish.
Okay.
So and then after grow out would be now the harvesting. So normally we would sample before we harvest just to determine the size of the fish, average weight of the fish that will be harvested, and then also to determine how much will be harvested, how many tons or kilograms we are expecting to harvest. So then with harvesting, harvesting is just done normally, like we would use nets, we get the fish out, we use eyes to, let them, die, and then they would then be cleaned, they would then be processed, like cleaned. We have not done that so far, but our private partners here, they have been sometimes filleting and all that. Yeah. So and also they would also remove the scales for those who want it descaled.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you would process the fish and then package it, and then the sales after you have marketed now that you are going to have a fish harvest. So then the sales will then take place.
Interesting production chain, I must say. Thank you for that.
Yes.
We just talked about the production chain of aquaculture. Let's talk about skills. What sort of skills do our local farmers need to possess when considering venturing into aquaculture production?
One will not be too specific because we have, like currently the farmers that we deal with, most of them do not have a fishing background or anything. Many of them are people who have been farmers all along, like livestock farmers or crop farmers. So a bit of farming background and skills, business skill is also needed, because aquaculture is not just science and natural, it's very much also business and management. So management skills. Then you would also need to have a bit of some basic training. Basic training on fish farming, which one could also get through our colleagues in the ministry. So it's not so much to say that you must be qualified in this and all that, because I've seen a lot of farmers.
You don't need to be a marine biologist or so forth.
No. I think the farming. You need to really be passionate about farming. It's all about passion, because most of the farmers I've seen coming up, it's the passion they have to farm. So that's basically it.
Awesome. Now let's talk about concepts. There are always new concepts coming up in different farming enterprises, especially with technological advancements. What new concepts should farmers familiarize themselves with when it comes to fish production or aquaculture production as a whole?
Currently, like in terms of the Namibian context, I would say that we've been, because we have a limited supply of water, our country. So we would like to maximize our use of water wherever, whether it's borehole water or whether it's river water or it's water from a reservoir. So that's where we've been encouraging farmers to integrate fish farming with any other agricultural activities, like be it livestock, be it pig farming, be it what is this?
Crop production.
Yeah, with crop production, vegetable also production. So, like I was saying, that most of the farmers that we are currently having, they are not people who did fisheries or marine biology or all that, or natural sciences or so on. So we have quite a lot of farmers coming up who are very interested in venturing into aquaponics. So a lot of them that you can even do in the urban, areas.
Yes.
So a lot of farmers, fish farmers, are now actually farming in urban areas, practicing aquaponics. So currently, I would say farmers should try and get themselves to know more about aquaponics, try out what aquaponics is all about, interact with the other farmers who are also into aquaponics. It seems to be very interesting.
Yeah, that's after meeting the requirements, right?
Sorry?
That's after meeting the requirements to venture into aquaponics as well.
Yeah, yes,
awesome.
definitely.
Let's talk about nutritional values. What are the nutritional values of fish? We eat a lot of it, and I'm pretty sure some of us have an assumption of the nutritional values, but let's hear it from you, the experts that get to work with fish every single day.
Some of the nutritional values of fish include a high protein content. This is good protein.
Okay.
There's low fat. It contains a lot of minerals like iron, iodine, magnesium, phosphorus, calcium. There's also vitamin D, riboflavin. Yeah.
All right.
So
that's a whole lot. Just to list a few. Yes. Okay. That's awesome stuff. Now let's move on to our market. Is there a market for freshwater fish, and what role can our farmers play to take advantage of that opportunity?
Like I said at the beginning, the demand for fish as a food source is increasing. So the market is there. What fish farmers or potential fish farmers need to take in consideration is that they must just try to improve their production in a sustainable way, in a cost-effective way, so they can take advantage of all the profits that they could drain in from aquaculture.
Wonderful. Are there any associations or bodies that protect the interest of local aquaculture farmers?
So currently there are no associations recognized by the relevant authorities, but there are probably some being developed somewhere, and maybe they are just in the process of getting to be recognized. A lot of them, a lot of our farmers, they need to be sharing information, or they need to be coming together, discussing ways on how to improve their production and whatever. So it's really needed, but maybe some of them are coming up. There's rumors.
Okay. Wonderful.
There is actually some which are busy coming up. There is a WhatsApp group, but they've been busy formalizing themselves. So that's why most of the time I would link our farmers with other farmers to share ideas. Fish farming in Namibia, that's what they call themselves.
Fish farming in Namibia.
And then there's also another Aquaculture Association of Namibia. They are also busy in the infancy. It's been running for several years now. So, but it's there. It's in the. It's now just we are now just pushing to get all of these things approved and recognized. But there are those two which are there, which farmers can always join and share ideas, share information. It's quite interesting because I even learn also from most of those farmers.
Absolutely amazing. That's really great to know. Ladies, we are approaching the end of today's episode, but before I let you go, let's step into your database a little bit. How many local fish farmers do we have in the regions that you are responsible for?
Okay, before I go to the direct answer to that, I just have to explain that we are having farmers whom we have sold fingerlings to, which means that they have become fish farmers. Most of them being aquaponics, into aquaponics. And then we have also a smaller portion, which is regularly being visited by our extension officers. So the extension office would have a certain number in their database, and I would have a certain number in my database. It is now the ones that have received fingerlings. So as soon as they are stocked of fingerlings, they become active farmers. To speak of just the last season, or looking at last year's figures, there were more than 84 farmers who got stocked with fingerlings. But as it is on the extension database, it's around about 43. So those are the ones who are regularly receiving extension services from our colleagues here. Yeah, so that's what we have currently. The numbers sometimes are a bit higher, but there were challenges last year. That's why we could not stock many of them. So I believe that if that was not the case, there would have been more than 84 which were stocked.
Definitely. And just to recap again, the regions you're responsible for is the South, the Erongo region, as well as the Central.
Yes, the Central. It's practically 6 regions. It's Southern and Central regions, which specifically is the Omaheke region, the Ochodran-Jupa region, the Erongo region, the Khomas region, the Hardap region, and the Karas region. So those are the regions that we cater for.
Wonderful. Any final remarks to our viewers and listeners out there? Especially those that are considering venturing into aquaculture production, specifically fish production.
I would say, like I have indicated earlier, passion. Passion. This is not something that just anybody just would like to do. Let me just give an example. We receive students from tertiary institutions every year, UNAM and NAST, and believe me, by the end of the first week after working around here with me, then a lot of them say, this is not what we thought aquaculture was all about. Because at school, this is a different picture. You know? So you must have passion, because you get dirty, you get wet, you get cut. So you must have passion. And I've seen it also with a lot of the small-scale farmers. Like I've said, a lot of them have a background of farming, so they have the passion already. So passion, and don't give up. Don't give up. Namibia, we are just in the beginning. We are still learning a lot. We will not give up. China did not give up. Egypt did not give up. Zambia did not give up. We are appreciating what we see those countries are achieving in aquaculture. But if we don't give up, we will also arrive there.
Amazing stuff. Thank you, Ms. More. Ms. Shalu Shanda.
Same as from Ms. More. But what I would like to say is to be patient. Start small, see how everything is going. And see how you're going to progress.
Right. Thank you so much, ladies, for taking time from your busy schedule to be part of this amazing episode. I myself learned a lot, and I hope our viewers as well as listeners equally learned a lot as well from you guys. We hope to see you again.
Thank you.
That's all we had for you on today's episode. Until next time, it's bye-bye.